Okay, so we are on step 3 in task 1. So by this point, you've watched Miss Stewart's video. You've set up hopefully all your conditions here the way they should be. And now you're ready to start manipulating um, conditions and seeing the effect on the R naught value. So before we start that, I just want to double check that we've set these conditions correctly. So if I look here, everything's correct except for recovery chance and the average recovery time. So problem here is you go 95 and then 100, but we want to set it at 97 because that's the recovery chance we see for COVID-19. So I right click on this, I say edit, and I change this value here to 97, and then done. Average recovery time, I want to change that to 30. So I changed that there. Check the minimum. I think the minimum's actually set at like 40, which means you can't do that. So you're going to have to change the minimum to 10, and then you can change that value to 30. So we hit apply on that. We're almost ready. Last thing I want you to do is for the infection and recovery rates, I want you to click off of that. I want you to make sure the X max value is 50, the Y max value is 70, and that auto scale is unclicked. Okay? You hit apply, you hit OK. Now we're ready to go. Oh, sorry, except for inoculation chance needs to be back down to 0. So if I set this up and I run it, I get an R naught value of 2.5, okay? Which is roughly the estimate of COVID-19 at the moment. So once you have that, going back to 3, we've set up all of this. And then you're going to go to section 4, and you're going to look at these 7 different factors. And what you're going to do is you're going to set the minimum for this one, the maximum, and then test three spots in between. So I'm going to show you, basically, you're going to recreate table 2. Instead of an inoculation value, the first one you'll do is the effects of isolation, and you'll adjust those figures, okay? So I'm going to show you what I did for the inoculation values and how I figured those out. So the inoculation chance is the measurement of if you had a vaccine, and in this case, 0% have the vaccine, and that's because COVID-19 doesn't have a vaccine at the moment. Okay, so again, I ran it once, but if you notice, if I set it up again, I hit go, and I get a different value, 2.62. I set it up, I run it again, I get a different value too. So what I want you to do is run it 5 times. Okay, so here I am, I ran it 5 times, and then I took the average. And that's what I want you to put over here. Okay, and then that's the lowest value, right? And then I would just go by equal increments all the way up to 50. So this goes from 0 to 50. So I'm going to go up to 10. I'm going to set it up. I'm going to run it. And here I am. I ran it 5 times. I take the average is 1.29. Okay. And then I did that again with 20, with 30, with 40, with 50. Okay. So you can see the R naught value decreases quite a bit as you increase the inoculation value. Okay. And then I also took a screenshot at the inoculation rate set to 0, right? Kind of where we're at now, and the inoculation rate set to 50. And you can see the infection rate decreases dramatically, right? At this point, you would have heard of this statement called flattening the curve, right? This is what they're talking about. We're lowering that curve, or we're drawing it out more so that medical systems can cope for that. So I made a table of that. I used those 2 graphs as an example, and then I explained it, and I related it to current thinking on the COVID-19 virus. Okay. So what I want you guys to do is do the same thing there, okay? But I want you to do it for each one of these. So within your group, you're gonna need to divide those up. Maybe two people can work on, two of them at a time, but I do want you working together with this, okay? Occasionally, it might pop up this runtime error. If this pops up, click dismiss, then click interface, and then record the R naught value, okay? Um, so the example on page 3, which is what I just went over here, is what you're looking for, okay? So this will kind of give you an idea of how these different factors affect that all. Final thing to remember is once you've done, your inoculation will be up to 50 for your very last one. Don't forget to set it back down to 0, or it's going to screw up the rest of your results. Okay, so make sure before you start each of those trials that you have the values set where they're supposed to be. All right, so good luck. Don't forget, the help desk is available. If needed, there'll be a science teacher there all the time. If for some reason this is making you nervous or a bit uncomfortable, there's a counselor on call too that can kind of talk you through that. You're welcome to call the help desk too and just kind of verify some science information. We're happy to do that also. Thank you, and let us know if you have any questions.